Welcome to another crazy medical story with Coach JPMD. In today's episode, you're going to discover what I think should be the leading story. A story that should have been leading all year. A medical story that would substantially decrease healthcare costs in the United States. One that would not add 1 cent to a patient's budget. Welcome back to another episode where I help younger physicians decrease stress and increase income by transitioning from corporate to independent practices, even without any business experience. Well, this story is about intermittent fasting. And there was an interesting article, a randomized clinical trial article that was released in the Open Network Access, JAMA's Network Open Access article that described a 5-2 intermittent fasting meal replacement and glycemic control study in adult patients. And I'll have the link to the study in the show notes. But what was interesting was that they randomized 405 patients to a diet that was controlled, where in 2 days they restricted the caloric intake of those patients through meal replacements. And 5 days they did not restrict patients, and they compared this patient group with Jardiance and metformin. And in the fasting group, they had a better glycemic control than the drug group. Things that make you say, Well, interestingly enough, I've been actually fasting for the past year and a half intermittently, and following Mindy Peltz, who was an author who wrote the book Fast Like a Girl, and where she describes something that you can do, or a fasting regimen that you can do, which she calls a 5-1-1, where you fast 5 days a week, or you restrict your caloric intake. And I do that for about 12 to 18 hours on 5 days a week. And one day you go and eat 24, or you eat regularly, which is what I do. And that day is usually either Saturday or Sunday. And then one day you go 24 hours where you have no meal, or your last meal, or at least my last meal, is at 7 p.m. And I don't have another meal until 24 hours later. And what that did for me was it actually helped me decrease my weight. I lost about 5 pounds. I had more energy. I was able to do more with the same amount of time. And so imagine if we, as a population, pushed an intermittent fasting regimen for patients with diabetes. Now, this study was on early diabetes, but the amount of resources that we put into drugs and into medications, into other things other than nutritional habits that can be changed is mind-boggling. I don't remember one nutrition course in medical school, although that was many years ago. Maybe my memory does not serve me well, but it is common to hear amongst other professionals that we don't get nutritional courses. And so it's great to have an article like this come out. That's a randomized clinical trial. There are lots of other articles that have shown that intermittent fasting can help decrease weight, improve immunity, and decrease cholesterol, decrease blood pressure. So there are many things that you can do nutritionally that can help you as well as your patient. So that's my crazy medical story of the week. It's about nutrition. It's about looking at the studies, being curious about things that we were not taught in medical school. And that curiosity could bring better glycemic control in diabetics. And it won't cost you anything, not a dime. It won't cost the patient anything, and it'll actually make them feel better. Thank you for listening to these crazy medical stories. And don't forget to subscribe and follow this podcast on your favorite podcast app so that you'll never miss an episode.